It is time for Sidebar extended just after 10 p.m. My name is Larry Meadow. We have a lot to talk about this political extraordinary week. A minute to review the week.
The Electoral Commission did not see it fit to consult the stakeholders before they announced the date of the elections.
Bwana kitendawili ako na njama ya kuunda serikali ya mkato ya bandia kupitia nusu mkate, ndio hataki mambo ya uchaguzi.
Where is the legal requirement that Raila Odinga must be consulted? Eh?
It is actually very wrong on the part of Chebukati to use a 2013 decision.
Look at the system, whether it has been tampered with or it is still intact.
My role is to guide the debate and to ensure that the dignity of the House is maintained.
Mimi George Onyango Olo, nikiwa nimechaguliwa Speaker.
We have a lot to discuss and we have just the people to talk about all of that. Sabina Chege is back with us, MP for the fine people of Murang'a County. Thank you for coming back on. And Senator for the great people of Narok, Ledama Olekina. How do I answer that? Ashaleng?
Just say Ashe.
Ashe. Great. Raphael Tuju is here, Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. And the Chairman of ODM, John Baddick, is also here. I was going to call you Moses. I've christened your new name. Thank you all so much for coming in. I have to talk about first, the IEBC has said the new election will be on 17th October. And as soon as they announced that, NASA said, no, we don't like that date because we were not consulted. This was Senator Moses Wetangula and then Raila Odinga talking about that specific date.
The Electoral Commission did not see it fit to consult the stakeholders before they announced the date of the elections. We find this is a contemptuous action.
Matiang'i says in the morning that he wants elections on 17th, and in the afternoon IEBC says the elections will be on 17th. I'm sure you can add it up and know who is standing behind the curtain and pressing the buttons.
Honorable Raphael Tuju, did Jubilee influence the 17th October date the IEBC announced?
Let me put it this way. I've not been consulted. It's a hangover from the Nusu Mukati days, to put it lightly. But the dates for the exams were on the website of the Examination Council from around about February this year. If anybody thinks that that's something we should not be factored in the setting up the dates of the next elections, I think it's kind of unfortunate. But okay, we're used to this. If ODM is not happy with the 17th of October, and if there's a locus that they have to change that, it's okay. We're fine with any date.
You're fine with any new date, even the 24th that they have recommended?
Yes, we are fine even with the 30th, as long as it's within the law.
Honorable Mbadi, what is wrong with the 17th of October?
You know, I think let's understand what NASA is talking about and complaining about. It's not the 17th of October date that is a problem to us. The problem is that the people at the IEBC have not appreciated, and also I realize Jubilee have not appreciated the ruling of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court talked about election not being an event, but a process. When you just wake up one morning or one afternoon and you tell us that the election will take place on 17, you are trying to condition us to an event. What we are interested in is knowing is the benchmarking, beginning today to that date of election, whether 17th or after 17. We want to be clear that what was found at the Supreme Court regarding the irregularities and the compromise of the electoral process, how are you going to make sure that when that date arrives, the processes beginning from today to that date are clear to everybody, so that we don't repeat the same mistake? And we are saying that we expected IEBC to be more consultative this time. I hear a lot from Jubilee that consultation is not necessary, that this is an independent institution.
They're saying they're also not consulted.
I think that is, that is wrong. They should consult both Jubilee and NASA, because now we are two political players in this game. We are the clients. But I want to remind Jubilee and remind Rafia that really consultation is provided in law. Lest he has forgotten, we made amendments to the Elections Act. Remember what we would call the Windsor Committee, the one that was chaired by Orengo and Kiraitu Murungi. We specifically enacted law that requires IEBC to consult with stakeholders. And one of the stakeholders in this electoral process is NASA. And so we are not speaking for Jubilee. If they don't want to be consulted, then probably they have a reason why. But for us, we want IEBC to respect the law, to consult with the stakeholders as provided for in the law.
Honorable Shege, if that consultation is in fact in the law, why is it Jubilee's giving NASA grief over the Raila Odinga saying, I was not consulted, we were not consulted as NASA?
For me, I'll speak as a mother.
Yes.
I'll speak as also somebody who has been in education. And as Raphael Tuju mentioned, that the examination dates were set. And I think we've been part of the process. If Bandi and my colleagues here have children, we know the anxiety that builds up towards the examination. It's also sad that the past 1 week we've had fires in schools, some that have been arson, and we don't really know the origin of these fires. And when a presidential candidate stands up or wakes up in one morning and says election can be pushed for 2 weeks and children will not die if they wait, that was the most insensitive sentiment I've had from any leader in this nation. Because our children are our future. And if we are patriotic, if we are true to ourselves, we cannot equate the future of our children with one day about election because of our own selfish interest. I think Badi has referred to the Supreme Court ruling that gave 60 days, within 60 days. So if IEBC woke up one day and told us next week you're going to have elections, I don't know why Jubilee, either Jubilee or NASA have to be consulted, because it's within the timelines that were given by IEBC. So the big question is 17th within the timelines? Are we sensitive about the activities that are happening? And for any sane Kenyans, we know the stock exchange has been affected. Business is almost at standstill in this nation. Tension is building up. And we've started seeing some of our leaders speaking and also trying to divide this nation. And once again, I want to congratulate the Jubilee supporters for the calmness that they have shown. And as we are seated here, Buddy is my friend, and we don't fight. We actually, so when we got here, we hugged because we are not enemies. And I would like Kenyans to embrace the same spirit. And so 17th date, which we were not consulted, I'm comfortable. Because for us, the Supreme Court decided that Kenyans must go back to the ballot paper. And also the IEBC, out of their own intelligence, decided they were going to have 2 presidential candidates on the ballot, which that is also again debatable. But at the end of the day, it's for Kenyans to make to go and cast their vote. We need the elections to get over. We need to go back to the real business. People need to start. The investors need to come back and have confidence in this nation. And any delaying tactic will not be welcomed in this nation.
Okay, so let me just say something. I think he's talked about the process, the election being a process.
Not an event.
Not an event. And to that extent, I agree with him. And he says that the disagreement is not with the 17th as a date per se. Is that what it is? So what is this thing that it can't be on the 17th? Is that grandstanding? Or what is it?
Hang on, before you answer, and before Senator Ladama comes in, I want to play President Kenyatta has also been talking about this consultation specifically and responding to Raila Odinga.
Siku imetangazwa, sasa amesema hapana, hiyo siku haiwezekani kwa sababu sijaulizwa. Kwani mimi niliulizwa? Yawezekana jameni kweli? Surely. Where is the legal requirement that Raila Odinga must be consulted? Eh? Where is it?
Senator Olekina is smiling. Why is the legal requirement that Raila Odinga has to be consulted?
I don't think it's about a legal requirement. I think we are all alive to the fact that IEBC does not act until they are given a court order. My brother Mbadi has just spoken about this election being a process, which was a decision by the Supreme Court. It is very important because elections are emotives. It is important for us to be involved so that we can be able to sit down on the table to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Matiang'i cannot wake up in the morning and say, the elections must be held before the 17th, and this same...
In all fairness, he didn't say must be held. No, he said he suggested it be held before 17th.
No, okay, so I stand corrected. But it sounds a little bit suspect and actually mischievous that he would maybe suggest that, and then later in the evening,
same day,
Chebukati, the same day, Chebukati would say we'll hold it on the 17th, forgetting that Matiang'i was actually mentioned in the Supreme Court case as having played a role in the rigging or the messing of the election by the Jubilee. Well, that's up for interpretation. So I think, for me, it is imperative that IEBC recognizes the importance of NASA. We need to sit down and discuss. There are things that we don't have to wait for a court order. There are things that the IEBC they were asked by the court to be able, they were asked to open the servers. We cannot be hiding all these things. In my view, anything that was related to the previous election should not be used in the upcoming election, because this is not a repeat of the old election. This is a completely brand new election. So there are so many things that we have to put into consideration to ensure that if you say it's a particular date, make sure that the stakeholders agree.
Fair enough. Right. Fair enough. And let me just finish. Fair enough. You say there should be consultation. You say that is a process, it's not an event. I really respect that. And I'm glad today I'm sitting with friends here so that we can reason. But is it right for this grandstanding to say there is not going to be an election on the 17th? Says who? I think you should say that we have a problem in the sense that there's so many precedents, conditions precedent, which have not been fulfilled. So even though the election date is being set on the 17th, this precedent should be in place. But for you to say that we have suggested 24th, which is just 7 days later, and unless it is like that, there's not going to be an election. And that's grandstanding. And I think as a country and as leaders, it's about time that we slow down a bit. I mean, me and my brother here and yourself, we are all friends, we know each other, we laugh. But to make statements that create tension in this country, affects the stock market, affects the strength of the Kenya shilling vis-a-vis other currencies, play this ethnic politics. I mean, for the first time yesterday, I learned that Justice Maraga is not the Chief Justice of Kenya. He's the Chief Justice of Kisii because he was being celebrated there.
My brother,
how do we go that direction?
Just allow me, Buddy, just allow me to respond to my brother. You know, it shocks me that there's a lot of double talk. When the president was out there abusing the judiciary, you didn't see anything wrong with that. Now, when we talk about something, about an election, about us being involved, then it becomes a problem.
No. Can I just interject?
Yes.
Yeah, let me put it this way. I think what we are discussing is basically whether the decision by IEBC was the right way to go. And I've said it very clearly that I wanted to answer the president. He was asking who says that Raila.
Where is the law that Raila Odinga has to be consulted?
The law is there. I would advise my friend Abdikadir, who is the legal advisor of the president, to take the president through the Elections Act. It says the stakeholders need to be consulted. In fact, shall be consulted. That's the word. So the law is there. It's only that he was not aware that there's law. So I've reminded him the law is there. But let me also put it this way, that really, you see, this is not a rerun. This is an election that is a consequence of the decision by the Supreme Court that the elections that we had, that were held on 8th of August, the presidential election, were rigged with irregularities and were not conducted in conformity with the Constitution and the rule of law. And therefore, Chebukati needs to be very, very careful with this election, because already IEBC is indicted in a way. So he needs to convince everyone that he's going to follow the provisions of Article 86 of the Constitution that talks about simple election, accurate election, election that is secure, election that is accountable and transparent. You can only guarantee that by involving stakeholders. So you cannot leave the stakeholders out. I wanted also to answer my brother-in-law here. I know many of you don't know. I'm seated next to my brother-in-law, Raphael Tuju. That it is not yesterday that if you learned that Maraga is Chief Justice for Kisii, I don't know where you're getting that information from.
That's where the celebration took place.
But can't you remember that President Kenyatta went to Kisii and said, I gave your son CJ. So he decided to pigeonhole our CJ to Kisii.
So you followed suit. So you followed suit.
When now the Kisiis are demonstrating that their son is being humiliated, then I think it's surprising to my friend. I think it should not shock you. Because you see, when the president went there and told them, this is your position, and I gave it to your son, and they see there is a threat to take that position away, you expect the locals to react. But I think let us take this discussion a little further so that we don't trivialize it to issue of the Kisii.
Before we take it further, I think it's good for clarification because it said the consultation is in the law.
Right.
But it's clear on what is to be consulted about. And just by reading and looking at it, it says it's on the acquisition and disposal of information and communication technology assets and systems. So it says on testing, certification of the system, mechanism for the conduct of system audit, data storage, and so on. There's nothing about the election.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, let me just
let her finish. Let her finish. Yes.
I think they have already been called for a consultation meeting, if I'm not wrong. So the consultation is going on, but the law is not has not talked about the elections date.
Let me
finish, because you also had your time to talk. I am actually shocked because I think there's a conspiracy between IEBC, NASA, and actually the judiciary. Because a few just months ago, when Raila was in Mombasa, he actually attacked Matiang'i, who is also a Kisii. It was not about their son, but yesterday we saw them going to Kisii and telling them your son is under attack. But I think the
so
president,
where is the conspiracy there?
The conspiracy is on this state, and because there's something you people know that we don't know. It seems you already know the judgment, because the judgment was to be given in 21 days. But no, you guys seem to know what is the judgment, and we are not aware as Jubilee.
So
and why I'm saying this, it's because when the judgment was read, they just said the elections are to be conducted within 60 days. And they said we will give the details. But already we've had NASA talking and saying so and so should go home. So it seems they are privy to the judgment, or they might be the ones who are writing the judgment on behalf of judiciary. Let me
just respond.
The final point, Honorable Shege.
Yes, so and I think we need to look at now at the people who are either for us or against us. And especially when we start joking around with the elections date and the examination, because here it's either somebody who is for our children or against our children, somebody who is for the parents of this nation or against the parents of this nation. Clear to the point.
You know, you interrupted.
The IEBC, by the way, has gazetted the election date and the two candidates that will be in that. Is it too late now? Because the Kenya Gazette, special issue, Nairobi 5th September.
The Gazette can be revoked and gazetted the following day. So that to me is not an issue. I even spoke to it in today's press conference.
Right.
Let me address Sabina. Number one, I think, Sabina, you need to appreciate that for us to do all that you've read, you need consultation.
Yes.
And that is what we have been talking about. How sure are we that the time that you have allocated is sufficient for doing all that is provided in law? And that is why we are saying, let me just finish. That's why we are saying that before you come up with the date, there was a need for us to consult, assure us. Let us get the assurance that between now and 17, all that will be done and we'll be ready for a credible election.
And that's
that is what we want.
I think tomorrow there's a meeting.
Just a minute. The step that IEBC has taken now, to me, is positive by writing to us. By the way, we wrote to IEBC through Musalia Mudavadi, and they have written back to us, saying that they will be consulting with us weekly. That, to me, I think is a positive step. That is how they should have started. But there is something that you have brought that I think is very interesting. You are talking about us knowing about that case. If you cared to listen to the ruling of the Supreme Court, they were very clear that the election was not conducted in conformity with the Constitution, the law, and that it is an event, it is a process and not an event. But please go to the report of the registrar. It is there already. You don't need to wait for the Supreme Court verdict. The problem with Jubilee, you switched off. You decided not to read these things. In fact, even your lawyers did terrible work, because I think they didn't even concentrate on that report of the judiciary. The report of the Supreme Court registrar, they mentioned where the problems were. Number one, they talked about penetration tests. They talked about the penetration report that would help us ascertain the security of the system. They talked about the service provider, the contractual obligation. Who is responsible? The CEO for all those activities. It is clear. Number 3, they talked about the result transmission system. Who is responsible? IT, the head of IT, Mohati. Who is responsible for Form 34A, 34B, which had issues with watermarks, which had issues with serial numbers, which were not signed? Who is responsible? The Directorate of Election.
All right.
And that is Kasai. So we are not just throwing names. This is a report that is documented at the Supreme Court of this country.
And that confirms what I've just said.
Yeah.
IEBC.
If you don't want to read this report, then
that's
it's
what
not
I'm
a
saying. IEBC, NASA, and the judiciary are in bed together. And
why do you say the IEBC, NASA, and the judiciary are in bed together?
Because
it is not only NASA that has access.
Let me just
take that come from NASA.
Can I just take
what
back?
we are following now? And the same narrative that he's giving us now, they already knew or predetermined what the judiciary.
But I've just told you that this is information that is available at the Supreme Court even today.
Exactly.
Okay.
So why
just
the information is available
and get this
before
information.
it gets to Chiloba, because I'm very sure he was not signing anything. Have we had arrest of the returning officers or the clerks who had those forms? Which were not watermarked.
Call for
them. Can I just respond? Let me just respond.
Why have we not
Sabina.
gone to those clerks?
Senator.
Yes.
Why are we talking
Sabina,
about the top layer, and we know there was somebody on the ground? And we also need to look out and find out which regions were most affected.
Okay.
Was it by design? Is it something already that was fed to the court? And did we have a predetermined?
All right.
No,
Senator.
Sabina, it's actually very interesting that you say that IEBC, NASA, and the judiciary are in bed.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I think we have selective amnesia. We forget that James Mohati was asked during the audit of the system, he was asked to give access to certain information. He was cited in the audit report not having given information. That is the reason why he was sent on compulsory leave. So when you sit here and you say, NASA is insisting on certain people to go, of course there is history. This guy was asked to provide information for the audit. He refused. Okay, then he refused. Then if he didn't have the capacity, which is the institution, I think what you need to do is this. You know what I'm finding. Let me tell you what I'm finding.
Did he refuse? I think you're getting into technical areas, which is
and I think it's important to focus.
No, but it's the technical areas which are not very clear to our audiences, and you're making claims because we have interrogated this as well. And we found out, did he have the capacity, or was it the service provider who had the capacity? And as soon as you go in there, you're getting into an uncharted territory, and you're making conclusions
I can tell you something.
and misleading our audience.
If I'm not misleading the audience, and I'll make it very clear to you, if I contract a service provider to provide me with a particular service, I'm the one who controls. Okay, it is a service they're providing for me.
It depends on what kind of service.
So in this service, it is technology.
No, it depends on what
kind of service.
So it is actually
wrong for you to come and tell the audience that this guy did not have capacity. Then who would have the capacity? He was the head of ICT.
I think for me, what is important really is, do we want to have this election or don't we want to have the elections? I can tell you for free that if I was NASA today, knowing the differences that we had in terms of the numbers, 1.4 million. If I was NASA today,
accurate numbers.
If I was NASA today, I would not want an election.
And I want to go back there.
I would not want an election.
If I was
why would you not?
If you were NASA, let me follow that.
Those were not numbers. You want to tell Narok people that you actually...
Let me tell you, Narok is 100% NASA. So I won't even bring Narok here. Narok is 100% NASA.
That's Narok elected the Jubilee governor.
Well, that's questionable.
So when it goes to NASA, those are real numbers. When it goes
to Narok elected a NASA
senator. You said if you were NASA, you'd not want an election. Why is that?
Because the numbers are so clear, they're going to lose it again.
Numbers are not clear,
and that's why they would try to put a roadblock on every attempt to have an election.
Okay.
I mean, let me finish this. This is a very important point. When they make such a fuss about 17th, and then you ask them, okay, what's your proposal? 24th, 7 days later. What's the big deal?
It's a big deal because we want the process.
Is a big deal?
What we want to do, we want all the servers open.
Yes, I challenged my colleagues here, and I said, if you truly believe that the numbers we had were not real numbers, because the transmission was the same for you as a senator, myself as a women rep,
it's not.
And if you truly believe those are not the real numbers,
our results,
so why did you agree to be sworn in? That's the first question. And what I've seen with the whole thing about the presidential elections, it's some people taking a stand. It's either my way or the highway.
Okay.
And I think it's good we realize that it's not about
besides,
us.
You know, if
it's
we,
not about NASA
besides
or
they have
about
said,
it's about 45 million Kenyans.
And besides they have said they will not have the election.
17 is the date.
Honorable Mbadi.
And cast our vote. What are your fears?
Hang on, everybody. Hang on, Honorable Mbadi.
This tired story of us not wanting election, I think it's a very
Let's do it on
this is a very
17th.
old propaganda.
No, but you announced
that started even with our Machozi Mondays. Remember when we were calling for Hassan to go home? The narrative by Jubilee is that we wanted nusu mkate. I don't know whose mkate is this, which if people take nusu, yeah, hiyo mkate, then some people get jittery. But the bottom line is we were ready for this election 8th August, and we went to the poll, and we participated in that poll.
And we won the
election. We won the election. But you see, this election was stolen from us.
Yes.
And the courts have affirmed that. Yes. This same Jubilee, 2013, they told us, Supreme Court has determined we won, so we won. We are also telling them, Supreme Court has determined you did not win. Please let us go for
and that is why we are ready. Now, the Supreme Court says clearly, let's go back to the ballot and we are ready.
Just a minute, Sabina.
Our candidate was not
indicted. But why keep on shifting goals?
Let's just allow me to make...
Let him finish, yes.
My point is, we are ready for election. 1 week, my brother Tuju is saying, is nothing. 1 week is a lot of time for us to organize ourselves. So the bottom line is this. We want assurance, clear assurance from IEBC that they are prepared for this election. We don't just want... But that meeting is as a result of our push to have this consultation.
And
if we kept quiet, Sabina, I think if we could have some decorum and just listen to me, you may disagree.
Sabina, let Mbadi say something.
Because if you start asking, I'm not in court, so you are not interrogating me. I'm making my contribution. They may be wrong, I may be wrong. That's my opinion. What I'm trying to say is that if we did not insist on consultation, the meeting for tomorrow would have not taken place. The meeting for tomorrow is as a result of our insistence that obey the law, consult with stakeholders. We want to know how you chose 17. What are you going to do between now and 17 that is going to guarantee accountable and transparent election? That is what we want.
No. You know,
that is what we are going to discuss.
Okay.
The dates will be informed. The system.
Listen. One moment.
The systems is going to help us arrive.
1 moment. Honorable Tuju has a question for you. Then I'll come to Senator.
Yes.
You have a question for Mbadi.
I have a question. Your principals stood at Wilson's airport and gave a press conference and very emphatically, we are not going to have elections on 17th. Can you explain to me in simple English, what does that mean?
Yes. Actually, let me explain to him.
Okay.
It's very simple. It's very simple. The law is very clear. It said, let us consult. Sabina was just here saying, if we care about the kids, if we care about the 45 million people, you know, elections are emotive. Let me just finish, Raf. These elections are emotive. These are things which could make or destroy this country. We did it wrong, or rather Jubilee actually forced it already to be done wrong, or IEBC, whatever you want to call it.
The Supreme Court found no wrongdoing on the part of the Jubilee candidates.
That's fine. But so let's say we did it wrong. We all have to own it because we are 45 million Kenyans. If you care so much about this country, the economy of this country doing well, then you need to consult with us. You need to sit down and say, gentlemen, let's have a bipartisan approach to this matter.
Okay.
You know, then what is so big with that?
No, but I don't understand.
You know,
I've asked for an explanation in simple English. You have not answered me.
The reason why we said we are not having an election on the 17th is because you decided to bulldoze things. You decided to I mean,
did Jubilee
Matiangi make a statement? Matiangi is the government, it's whatever, and then IEBC decides no, it's a 17th.
So therefore, you are getting yourself the powers to say there will be no elections.
No, what we need to do is to respect each other. Let us sit down together and say, gentlemen, we care about this election. We care about the children you talk about. We care about the 45 million people we care about. So let us agree. This is the process. Let us clean the servers. Let us open the servers. Let us see what is there. Let us configure the servers such that when we are about to hold an election, we know the events that are taking place.
All right. Honorable Sabina has a
my question is they are thinking about the children.
No, he has not even finished my question.
He has not answered. You don't like his answer. He did not answer.
He has talked. He has
Okay,
talked. He has not
No,
answered.
let me answer his question. My
Yes.
answer is this. You don't consult me, don't bulldoze me. Okay? What do you mean we? We are NASA, you're Jubilee.
But we are not the ones who said
You have the government.
I want to ask, we have 40 days to go. Our children have waited for 1 year. And this, I look at
What do you mean 1 year?
Actually,
4 years. So
no,
waiting for
listen to
10
me.
more days is a problem?
Listen to me, it is a problem.
No, it is not a problem.
If you have a child.
Let her
Okay.
finish.
I have 3 kids.
Exactly.
Okay?
Are they in the
and they
KCPE?
can wait.
Are they in the Kenyan
okay?
system?
They can wait because
They
elections
cannot
are more
wait.
emotive.
Let me
Sabina,
I want to
yes.
say
Let
something
Sabina
here.
say something.
You know our examination in this nation or this country. It's a
not-
system. We have 8 years. We have 4 years. And there was already a program and the date set for the examination. Our kids, their minds are set. If you ever care about our children, even waiting, when an exam delays even for 30 minutes, you know the tension
Sabina,
and the
so let me ask you.
psychological.
So today we had
Let me
floods in
finish.
this country.
Let me
The
finish.
kids cannot
Let them-
That
we had
is
for a
why-
whole week.
That is why when we have floods, we use the helicopters and choppers
do
to
what?
take the examination.
So if the kids
We
can't
have
get to the
never,
school?
in the history of this nation,
but he has
we
not
have
answered
never,
this, sir.
we have never shifted an examination date.
Okay.
And so our
Larry,
children
can I
are ready.
just,
And
In
the
all fairness, in
question
the
I
history
have-
of this country, we've never had an election nullified.
and it's okay, but the question I'm asking, we have 40 days. So what is this special? And within this 1 week that they say on 17th, and that's why I asked, are you privy to some information that we are not aware?
Okay.
Because you're already saying by 17th you're not ready. So why are you predetermined? There's
Okay.
anything
I
to do
don't
with a
think
consultation.
we are.
So see, there's some information
you
you
able to
guys
give me an
have,
answer?
and you don't have.
Let me just address.
Can he answer
Are
me?
you done?
Let him
Are you
say,
done?
please.
Okay, fine. First of all, we have not said we are not ready on 17th. What we have said is we want to be sure that IEBC is ready to conduct a credible election. It is not us. We have nothing to do with the running election. It is IEBC. But we need assurance. Without that assurance, we don't want just any other election. We want a credible, transparent, accountable election that is secure from fraud.
Chairman,
and that is what we are going for.
Chairman,
Nothing
do you like
short
the
of that.
answer now?
But,
Tuju?
but there's something that I wanted to, was it just a minute, that I wanted also to highlight. This issue, these emotions about our children, you know, we also have children. And let me tell you that this thing of saying that if exam is delayed by a week, the children, their minds were conditioned to do exams due from which date, this is just trying to whip emotions out of nothing.
No.
This examination can be delayed, nothing will happen. It can be delayed even for 2 weeks. And these children will do exam. If anything, these children are just coming to join us for December holidays. This is a lot of emotions that Jubilee is fond of.
Okay.
Are you telling me that an election is such an insignificant? The election of a president of a country, is that insignificant?
Are we within 60 days?
That it is so useless?
Are we within the timelines?
Okay.
So why do you want to
Give me a break.
disrupt our
This is
children?
we are not just going for any election.
Right.
We are going for an election.
Which we want.
By the way, we would not be talking here if the elections were conducted properly. And therefore, you want us to conduct another sham election so that we again, then you bring this country again to a major standstill? That is not what we are interested in.
I want to congratulate the chairman for at least saying something which contradicts what his principal said.
What did he say that contradicts what his principal said?
I mean, he said that 17th is not a big deal for them. They are ready on the 17th.
Yes, that's true.
They have said that they're ready. Raila Odinga and a lot of the other national presidents have said they're ready.
They're ready. Okay. They say that because Raila Odinga said there is not going to be elections on the 17th, and this was in a public, on TV, live. You can look for the tape, and it's there. And now, of course, hearing from the chairman, I'm relieved to hear that actually it's not a big deal, which means that we can make some progress. So I appreciate that. Now, I appreciate that. So let's go to the next level.
Great. Let's go to the next one.
The issue. So I'm also delighted that the issue of boycott is not on the table, because can you comment on that? Is the boycott on the table?
Will NASA boycott the election?
No.
Why are you so scared?
We're not scared. I mean, if
you
you're going to boycott, because you pronounce
let them answer that.
That is something that I want you also to do, is now not to allow Tuju to take your position.
All right, let me ask the question. Honorable John Badi, as ODM chairman, will NASA boycott the election if it's held on the 17th?
We have made it very clear that we are ready for election. Actually, we are ready by 8th of August. I want to repeat that. If there is going to be enough consultation, beginning tomorrow, and by the way, IEBC has made some good progress towards this, and we are sure that 17th date is going to guarantee us free, fair, transparent, accountable, an election that is secured from fraud, that we are not going to end up with a sham election the same way we had a sham election for president on 8th of August, then we'll have election on 17th. But if in the event that it is not going to be realistic, then everybody should be ready to adjust the date within the 60 days.
Okay, let's leave it there for
I'm delighted. I'm extremely delighted that boycott is on the table, because I was wondering now, how do I get these guys
Why do you imagine that we are going to...
No, they're so scared.
Do we have to give them sweets and candy so that they don't boycott?
Why do you even imagine that we are going to boycott?
At least you're out of that.
They're so scared that we'll beat them with 3 million.
Okay.
They're like, whoa.
Okay, wait. Everybody stand by. I have to take a really quick break right now. We're coming back to talk more with my panel. Sadva is going to be right back. Shege with Honorable Adamo Lekina, Honorable Raphael Tuju, Honorable John Badi. We are talking about yesterday, the IEBC chairman, who's the national returning officer, appointed a project team for the October 17th elections. The project coordinator is Marjan Hussein Marjan, the head of operations, Dr. Sydney Namulungu, the head of logistics, Nancy Karaoke, head of training, Bernard Misati Moseti, and head of legal, Salome Oyugi, and head of ICT, Albert Gogo, under the direct supervision of Wafula Chebukati. And they will also have the head of the National Tallying Center, Silas Rotich. Today, the IEBC got a letter from the Jubilee party which said, after publication of the names of your election projects team, we have received credible information that in the list are people known to be partisan, and they include the following staff members, signed by Raphael Tuju, and the IEBC has since responded to that letter asking these political parties, both NASA and Jubilee, to respect the independence of the judiciary. Why does Jubilee have, the independence rather of the IEBC, why does Jubilee have a problem with some IEBC officials?
In fact, we give a very short list, because when certain forms were not the correct forms or became disputed, or they did not have the watermarks and so forth, whose responsibility is that? All those staff who were complicit in not doing the right thing robbed this president of his victory. Was this deliberate by those officials of IEBC? Was it planned? Because for some reason we find that they're from the strongholds of NASA in any case. So that is a problem.
Are you saying that these people are partisan because they're from the strongholds of NASA?
No, let me just finish.
Because you are also from the stronghold of NASA.
Let me just finish. Then the next thing, which is a problem for us with Chairman Chebukati, with all due respect to him, these actions that he took were stemming from a riot act of some sort read to him by NASA that these people, so and so have got to be replaced, which means that he was no longer acting independent, he was reacting to complaints by NASA. And the fact that we do not complain does not mean that we don't have issues. The problem, and I'm a little bit upset that this letter has been leaked to the media, because one of the things that we are being very careful about is that when you start naming people like NASA were doing, they call a press conference, they start naming members of staff of who are civil servants. These people have got family, they have got children, they have got, kids sometimes who are going to school. Their names are being read out by no less than a presidential candidate. We think that is inappropriate. We did a very private letter saying we have issues with these people. And when I say we have issues, let me tell you, we have issues. This is not, I can go one by one. And in fact, what I expected Mr. Chebukati to say is to say, prove it. But he didn't.
He did not
He
prove
just
it.
dismissed us, all right, out of hand. And when I look at the amount of time he spent to respond to our letter, it was a few minutes after, because the letter went in this afternoon. With respect to NASA, it's a long 7-page blow-by-blow.
Well, it's not 7 pages, but
whatever it is.
I'll get through that.
Whatever page, maybe it's not 7, but it is point by point responding to the issue of NASA in a very sensitive,
let me ask you this.
Polite, and very nice language.
So it is your...
For ours, boop, don't tell us what to do. He should have asked us at the very minimum, give us the proof you have.
Let me ask you this. The people you claim you have credible information that are known to be partisan. Marjan Hussein Marjan 1, the 9 people. The other one is Salome Oyugi, Decima Mai, Crispin Oiwie, Joseph Ayate, Joyce Egwon, Tabitha Mutemi, Lima Sonyango, Caroline Manyange.
Yes.
This letter is in the public domain now. NTV independently obtained it. Why is Jubilee ethnically profiling IEBC officials?
That's not the case. You seem to be reading more in terms of the list of people than I actually saw in it.
You said they were from Jubilee, from NASA strongholds.
No, I didn't say they're from NASA strongholds.
You did?
Well, no, I didn't say those people are from NASA strongholds. What I said is that the forms which were not signed were from NASA strongholds.
Honorable Badi.
Can I just, first of all, I want to just give confidence to Honorable Tuju that once someone takes up a public office, someone must be ready for scrutiny, and because you are holding that position, a position in trust. So people of Kenya may audit your actions and may name you anytime. So I don't think it's hurting these people in any way. But I'm happy for once that Jubilee has seen sense in engaging with IEBC. You know, I've never heard Jubilee complain about actions of IEBC. It's always us, and they're always treating us like we are crybabies. But now that
which you are to some extent.
Now that you have seen, actually has been the crybaby in the house this evening, because he has complained even about the way, the wording of the letter,
the length of the letter,
the length, etc. But if you only raised one issue with regards to those stuff, and we raised a number of issues, one of which is the date of election. We have raised the issue of the technology, the audit of the register. We've talked about the server. The response definitely must be longer. Common sense dictates.
Let me show this before you keep going.
This is to belittle my brother here. Let me just finish, Larry. Not to belittle my brother that he doesn't have common sense. I'll just say common sense dictates. It's okay. But let me also put it this way, that the most important thing that we should agree on is that IEBC needs to consult with stakeholders. Some of these issues would be addressed early enough without going to the public event. So agree with us that the step we were taking as NASA to demand consultation was very important. If there was consultation, we'd have even known that IEBC is going to replace this stuff with other stuff. But there's something that I wanted also to highlight, and I want to repeat it again, that one thing that is different between our complaint from Jubilee's complaint is they have just thrown names without reasons. Us, we have reasons. The people we have named have actually been named in the report which is filed with the Supreme Court. These people have been found, their actions have been found to be wanting. It is not us. We have not manufactured anything. It is all there. You can read it and ask yourself if those people should again.
We have reasons too.
Let me just bring everybody up to speed to this. This is the response to the Jubilee letter, which Honorable Tuju thinks is too short. It's a one-page response. Well, it's actually 4 paragraphs. I have it on the screen. It says, I appeal to you as I have committed to the NASA coalition to respect the independence of the commission and allow us to make our internal changes as we had already communicated on 1st September. And I wish to take this opportunity to request you for a meeting with the Jubilee Party leadership on 7th September. The response to the NASA coalition, on the other hand, which I also want to get to real quick, if I can bring it up here, it's I think 3 pages on fresh presidential elections, and they're explaining why they are only allowing Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta to contest based on the reading of the 2013 election petition. They've gone into details. Sorry?
Which I think is wrong.
They've gone into detail about candidate agents, and they've talked about the register of voters. They say they only have one register of voters. And as the issues addressed in your letter of interest to all parties involved in this election, in the interest of transparency, I've taken the liberty to copy this letter to Jubilee, he says, and they're also saying, we welcome your comments that the independence of the IEBC is not negotiable, which is for this reason we find it unacceptable for you to provide a list of staff that you direct us to ask to step aside or be suspended. We urge you to respect the independence of the Commission. So again, the letters seem to end in the same way, respect the independence of the Commission. Why won't the parties, Jubilee and NASA, respect the independence of the IEBC?
No, I think NASA respect the independence. I think on the contrary, I don't think Jubilee respect the independence of any institution in this country.
Honourable Sabina, do you agree?
You know, I think, as I said, it seemed there was a very well-planned the way this process was to go, that we were to go to court, and the evidence that was even to be taken to the judiciary. Because I think Buddy was asked a question. I think the petition they took to court, the areas that were mostly affected are the NASA zones. And the big question I would like to ask, was this a planned process? And did NASA have agents in their areas? Why, if they had, why didn't they sign? Because I don't think we had many cases from Jubilee side that the agents had not signed. And my big question, and I think Kenyans should be asking themselves, not just about Jubilee or NASA. Are we then, even if we have proper systems and everything else, going to have a repeat of the same, where we have agents of a certain political party, if they decide not to sign the forms? And I think the big question that IEBC should be answering now, instead of trying to sideline some people and actually giving some people, I don't know what that project is called, they should be telling us why these people are being sidelined or they're not being given the jobs that they're supposed to do. Secondly, the people who did not sign these papers, if there were papers that were not watermarked, if there were fake papers, where did they come from? Did they originate from IEBC, or where did they come from? So let's not...
What are you insinuating, Honourable?
I'm thinking it was planned. And even the papers that were submitted to as evidence in court, there was something that some people within even IEBC were aware of.
So they were planted. These fake forms were planted?
Yes.
The ones that didn't have barcodes, or the ones that didn't have signatures?
Yes,
the exercise books?
And that's why I want the big question is the IEBC should answer us, because we are most aggrieved, because we had won this.
Are you suggesting NASA planted these forms that were not in the proper way?
Even a fool can tell.
Hang on, now we've made progress. So you're saying that NASA planted the documents that were not correct in the IEBC system.
And that's
why would you say that?
Through some of the contacts that they have within the IEBC, and they admitted to this. They told us that they had sources within IEBC which they were not ready to reveal.
So did NASA have sources within IEBC planting fake documents in the official system?
You know that is... Can I just now make my point?
Yes, Honourable.
I'm not making this up.
Actually, that is laughable coming from... Let me just make my point. Laughable coming from the SG of Jubilee. You are saying that NASA planted some documents in the IEBC system, and you still have confidence in that same IEBC to run another election without change. In fact, I heard your president and the deputy saying that election will be run by this IEBC as currently constituted.
Because we are following
let me just make my comments. I wonder whether anyone who is so serious would allow an institution that has been infiltrated by its opponent to run an election. But I want to dissuade this. When you repeat a lie many times and a narrative, it may appear to be the truth. The truth is this.
And your experts
I've interacted, by the way, I've interacted a lot with what we took to court. Let me tell you, your lawyers just picked on the information coming from a few NASA strongholds. That is not all. You know what my two colleagues are doing is that they're just picking what their lawyer said in court when they mentioned the Mombasa County, the Kwale County, and a few other strongholds. But they left so many other areas, which are Jubilee strongholds, which also had issues. The votes in question is about 5 million. The votes that were affected by these irregularities, 5 million. They are not just in NASA stronghold. In fact, a lot more are in Jubilee stronghold. But I also want to remind you that the officials who are conducting elections, especially, like, for example, in my constituency, they don't come from NASA strongholds.
But did you
These
have
are
agents?
people who come from other areas.
Did you
As a
have
matter of
agents? Yes,
fact,
we
I
did.
just don't want
Yes,
to
we did.
profile,
Did they sign?
but I
We
want to
had
tell
agents.
you that some of these forms that were not signed by people who are supposed to be coming, so to speak, if you use ethnic background, from areas that are probably more Jubilee. So I want to put it that the problem is not those specific individuals. The problem is the system. How can you have a problem? How can you have a problem with someone who did not sign the form and the supervisor you want to keep? The supervisor for election operations is Kasait. She has the responsibility. She is answerable.
Was she
The
signing?
other person who is actually her head is Nyabuto, the deputy CEO, the deputy to Chiloba, is the one responsible for operations. That is that is the structure of IEBC.
But the IEBC has made changes.
currently
They've appointed a whole new project team.
We are saying, fine, you are appointing this team, but you need to consult with us.
Larry,
We are
You need to be consulted with employees of the IEBC.
We want to know what IEBC is doing at every step. Remember, this thing...
Does, Honorable Mbadi, does
not
NASA want to be involved in employee decisions at the IEBC? They say you want to run HR for IEBC?
What we want to be involved in is to be sure that the process is going to be run properly. Explain to us. If you have constituted a new team or you want to constitute a new team, tell us. And then we also give you our views. Remember, this thing called independence, we respect it. And I want to add, even go a step further and say we want to give IEBC space and we want to trust them. But you should understand that the trust on IEBC has gone down.
Okay.
Because they have been indicted.
Honorable, before Senator, I'll come to you. I want to just get Honorable Tuju's reaction to that. I want to make sure everybody's getting equal speaking time.
Well, no, let him speak. No problem.
Okay, he's seated. It's time to you.
No, it's actually my time. Because I've listened to Sabina, and Sabina seems to have a particular narrative. And I think it's crybaby. Because how can you come and say IEBC, NASA, and the judiciary are in cahoots? You know? I mean, I think the thing is, I think you're trying to come up with another line of lies to tell Kenyans that, oh, you cannot trust the judiciary, you cannot trust IEBC. And you know where the problem is. You guys were actually much closer to IEBC than we were. So I think what we are saying is very simple.
Well,
we want a much...
I hope you can define that better.
Exactly.
You are close. We are closer than you are, which means you are close anyway. It's only that one is closer than the other. But okay, fine.
Are we arguing proximity now?
No, I think what we need to do here is to realize that what we are demanding, and we are not asking, we are demanding. We are demanding a clear system which is transparent. We don't want anything to do with the previous election. Okay? So when you talk about individuals, consult us. Let us sit down. And Larry, we're not saying that we should be involved in the HR process. We are not trivializing these matters or making them...
Yeah, but
what we are saying is this. Let us follow the due process of the law. It is not... we shouldn't be waiting, or IEBC should not be waiting for a court order for them to comply.
Yeah, but let me just ask a question out of interest. You had your sources in IEBC.
The source that gave the logs of the supposed hacking.
The hacking and all this. Who are these sources? Are they still there?
I think the most important thing is for us to focus
but are they still there?
On having a credible election.
Are they in the list who have been removed?
While we're talking sources, Honorable Tuju, what are your sources for the supposed bias of these people you've rejected to the IEBC?
Yes.
We like that to be investigated. We do have people who have made representations for us. In fact, one of them have just received an SMS. Who lives with who, in which compound, and so forth.
So you don't want your sources revealed, but you want NASA to reveal the sources.
We will reveal the resources. I mean, we will reveal the sources. The thing is that we have made our case to IEBC. What IEBC should be asking us, please prove your case.
I think
because we want to prove this case.
Okay.
I think what we want to avoid is victimization. As we said, the IEBC, the staff members, they are Kenyans. And they have a right also to defend themselves. They are not being prosecuted. And so for the IEBC to replace anybody or even to form a new team, I think it would be fair for both of us, for both NASA and Jubilee, to be given reasons why they came up with the names that they have come up with. I'm very sure that if we are not privy, and the NASA side, they are not privy on why they came up with a new team, because we have not even seen the judgment, then we need people or Kenyans not be victimized by their position. Maybe somebody is trying to hide, because we are the most aggrieved as Jubilee. We had
Why would you
won.
be the most
We had been
critical?
given a certificate. We had been told to go back to the ballot. We
you
said
were
we do
given a
not.
certificate in
We
a wrong
said
way.
we do not agree with the judgment.
Okay.
But because we respect the law, we are going back.
But if you
And so
respected
for
the law,
us
you should
now,
not have been insulting the
we
judiciary.
should be the most sensitive. You know, at this point, let's not victimize anybody. Is somebody trying to hide and trying to get rid of the people who would expose him? Secondly, do we have IEBC officials meeting some leaders from certain coalitions at night and coming up with the decisions they are making now? That's the question we are asking
You know,
ourselves.
these wild allegations are really sometimes worrying me.
How
But
would
you
you
see,
know?
you know, when you handle stolen property, you can't cry that it is being taken away from you.
What was stolen?
You handle stolen property. The election
You
that
stole
you
our
were saying
election.
you were given the certificate.
that part of the judgment,
The certificate
really?
you were
Was that
given
the
was
judgment?
stolen.
Was that the judgment?
The judgment was that
Did the
your
judgment-
election
It was stolen.
The judges said
Did the
the election
judgment
should be
say-
annulled because you were
They said
declared
about the
president
process. No,
irregularly.
they said about
Yes.
the process.
They didn't say the
And-
election was
and
stolen.
Uhuru
They
Kenyatta
said that there were
You don't have to use
illegalities
the
and
word.
irregularities
Let
that
me
affected
tell
the
you.
integrity of the
Larry, can I
poll.
tell you, I'm an accountant.
Yes, sir.
Uhuru had no
And I want to
mistake
tell
at
you,
all.
I want to give you an example. Accountant will never say that cashier has stolen 200,000, even if he has stolen.
What would the
They will
accountant
always
say?
mention that according to our audit investigations, the 200,000 cannot be properly accounted. So you see, you don't expect the Supreme Court to say that you stole the votes. They will tell you that the election was not conducted properly, it was irregular, not following the law. But the bottom line is you stole the election.
Mbadi just used an accounting example to explain a legal decision.
Yes, I'm just saying that lawyers also have to be technical
this is-
in a way.
this is-
But
no,
what
this
I'm
is-
saying,
this is apples and oranges. This is apples and oranges.
If you
And you have to
actually
remember,
if you actually had stolen property, I want to,
you have to remember there was a differing opinion.
don't cry
There
that
was
you
a
are
There were
agreeing.
two dissenting opinions.
We are equally
You don't want to
agreed
amend the
because
constitution
There were
so
two
that
dissenting
You
opinions.
can't take that for granted, for sure.
so then now can I
There were
proceed
dissenting
now?
opinions.
Yes, Honorable Mbadi.
Let me go on and say that I think let us agree that now we have come to a point where we are in agreement. If you listen to Sabina, she's very clear that she needs explanation why some stuff are supposed to be shown the door or set us to step aside and others are being appointed. That is what we have been saying all this time. We have been saying, please consult IEBC, involve the stakeholders. And stakeholders here include NASA and Jubilee for this
Kenyans
matter.
too.
Before they decided on the two presidential candidates, then even the Third Way Alliance and everybody else would have been interested party or to be involved as people of interest. But now we are two. Call the two sides of the coalition. We have the Jubilee side and we have the NASA side. Let us meet from tomorrow. Look at your processes. Tell us how you are prepared to conduct a credible election. If we are convinced that the time you have between now and 17th is sufficient to put systems in place, including human resource, which is going to help us have accountable, transparent, credible election that would convince Kenyans that we have got it right. We have no problem. But Sabina, there's too much love now that Jubilee is showing with our children. When our children take years, months without being taught, when teachers are on strike, our children are being forced to do exams that they are not prepared for.
When did that happen?
Just the other day, you can't remember that we had the longest strike in the history of this country.
People have pointed out,
We
Sabina.
now have even so this love with the children.
You must say
one
kids
week,
are not going to school because their cows are being killed in Laikipia. Okay?
So where does Jubilee
Okay.
come in that?
That is quite a stretch. That is quite a stretch, Senator.
It's so annoying.
Sabina, somebody has fact-checked Sabina, says that 5 years ago, both primary and secondary school exams were pushed by 3 weeks because there was a strike. So you said that there had never been an exam postponed in the future of the country. But the KCPE and KCSE 5 years ago were postponed because there was a really long strike.
Yeah, no, that happened. That happened. I can remember very well.
Yeah. No, I think for me, really, I mean, you know, we are mature people, and Kenyans are looking up towards us. If there is anything that I think we should be able to help our Kenyans with, is to step back from this ethnic profiling. We must. You know, and I want to say this with all due respect. You could be Maasai.
And I will defend
But
that
at the end of the day, we are Kenyans. Because
I don't feel much Kenyan now. I can tell you that as a fact. No, seriously. I will be very honest with you, but let's not go there. But what I said, when Sabina brings up an issue and said their kids are suffering, our kids are also suffering. What is going on in Laikipia is actually very serious. Okay? Yeah, Kenyans. So who is Kenyan now? I must say not Kenyans as well?
Well,
then I think, let's focus on
He didn't finish his point, Senator. Raphael had not finished his point. Yes, sir.
But I think we should step back on this ethnicization, right? And I did, I can say this today, tomorrow, any day. We should step back from this ethnicization, because the moment we go that slippery road, will not be able to stop. Because
hold on. Let me ask him a question.
Every person in this country belongs to a community.
Very simple question. There was something going on Twitter, and actually Larry asked a question and said, did this happen to you? What was happening along Thika Road? So we cannot pretend that we don't know what is happening in this country. And it is imperative that we all put everything.
You want to put on the table what is happening on social media, or what is being said on social media as a source of information?
Somebody claimed that Jubilee supporters were stopping some cars on Thika Road and asking them if there were Jubilee supporters, and asking by tribe, if you're Kikuyu, then you are not allowed. If you're not.
So what happened?
Several people since, others also claimed that it had happened to them. We've not been able to independently verify that.
Just the cheap rumors that people are
starting. If you're not able to independently verify it, let's step back on that. In fact, let's give credit where it is due. And I really want to compliment our support base. They did not burn tires. They did not throw stones at anybody's house. They did not do anything untoward. And I do hope that on the 17th...
But the police was doing it on their behalf. The police killed our people. The police,
they did not uproot any railway line.
The police to do it on their behalf.
They did not uproot any railway line?
No, but
if you want to go that direction,
we have lost so many of our supporters shot dead by police.
No. If you want to go that direction, my friend, it did not happen in Kitui, it did not happen in Machakos, it did not happen in Bungoma. We can go that direction.
So let's go that direction. Where did it happen? Let us be honest. Where did it happen?
No. I mean, we can go that direction.
People were shot in Kisumu, Homa Bay, and Migori, and here in Nairobi.
Can you explain to me why it didn't happen in Kitui and Machakos and Makueni?
It's because you chose to shoot those people.
No, come on.
And you should explain to us why you were shooting those people. It's the Jubilee government. We don't run the police.
Give us a break.
The police in this country is run by the government.
Give us a break.
If that is the direction you want to
go. The most annoying thing.
This is an entirely new discussion that we can start getting into right now.
They should not say that their supporters behaved decently when the police, they were using police instead to kill our people.
Honorable Tuju, you talk about the quality of the political discourse you want to encourage. I was just telling you about this off air. One of your MPs, Moses Kuria, Gatundu South, his posts, and this specific one has a lot of people divided because of the language and what is likely to say. You're talking about the need not to inflame tensions. Kiambu has spoken. They have said Wembe ni ule Wangige and Kiambu. People are seething with anger. 1 million of the votes were cancelled by 4 people, but they're so ready to do it again. And even more, manhunt is on tonight for the 200,000 people who did not vote and the 70,000 that voted for that other demon. Is that the kind of political discourse Jubilee
out of order
promotes?
That's completely out of order, and I would not accept that kind of language. And if it is true that it is from his...
This is from his official Facebook account.
If it's true it's from his official Facebook, I'll take it up with him, because it is unacceptable. Simple, and it cannot be Jubilee policy. And we cannot be put on the spot by mistakes of a few elements in the party which are preaching the wrong thing for this country. I can say that without any.
Let me just make this comment. I think what is important for us now is that we have 45 million Kenyans looking up to us and looking at all our institutions or independent institutions. In my view, what the IEBC should do is that they should call both parties. If Ekuru Court is going to be able to join because of his case that is taken, he should also be invited. And then we go through different processes. If the 17th, by the 17th, we would have already finished those processes, then that's fair. We go and hold an election. The most important thing is this. IEBC should not be waiting to be cited with a court order for them to be able to comply.
I respect what you're saying.
Just number one. Number two, it is imperative that since technology is going to play a very big role, I think both parties should agree that the way the system should be configured, it should be configured in a way that it is not IEBC that have the exclusivity of the servers. In fact, those servers should be taken in as if it's another 41,000, if it is 40,800 polling station, that the transmission system should be another polling station, whereby all Kenyans are able to see these things. Because what we are going through in this country right now is that here you are, Sabina and yourself, you are now saying you've come up with a new narrative about the people who we say should go. We had reasons. You need to give those reasons.
Precisely.
And the only way we can be able to do that is we put together everything on the table and we say, clean up those servers.
Okay.
Kenyans need to know what is happening.
IEBC, the chairman Wafula Chebukati has today said that I have decided to embed 2 ICT experts from both Jubilee and NASA in my project team. Is that sufficient for both sides?
That's welcome.
Actually, those are some of the things that we are talking about. Yes. That we need involvement of the political players in this thing. The 2 parties that are players in this game need to be involved. And by the way, you know, when we talk about even some of this stuff, honestly, the law is very clear that at the polling station, you are supposed not just to send the figures which the presidential candidates got, but you are supposed to scan the Form 34A and send it. Are you telling me that through the entire process, the CEO of IEBC was not aware that no form was scanned and sent as required by law? That is, if not, if it was not involved in the fraudulent conduct of the election, then he was negligent to an extent that is not qualified to hold that position. That is actually what we have been saying. That
so you're not satisfied with this project team that has been appointed? You still want Ezra Chilobe out?
I'm saying that this is the right way to go,
right.
That he should involve
the
stakeholders. And this is what we have been talking about from the day the Supreme Court made the judgment. We want this involvement. And you can see now, Jubilee is learning late in the day. There is need for involvement.
I can tell you, it's also a question of style. As Jubilee, we are held to higher standards than what the opposition can be held up to. And I've been told this. In fact, everybody was...
Why is it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Kenyans have decided. I mean, when you guys throw tantrums and so forth, you get away with it. When we express our anger, then everybody is in a state of shock. But I don't want to go there. I think what I want to say, which you said, which is correct, is that if we can ascertain that by the 17th they'll be prepared, we're ready to have that discussion. We're ready to have that discussion. What I think all of us should guard against is this grandstanding of anybody threatening, using very foul language, showing us their tempers on TV, saying, we are not going to have these elections. Says who?
You know, with all due respect,
I mean, really, those are some of the things that we should all step back a little.
I think with all due respect, you might have your own differences with Raila Amolo Odinga. And I don't think you should be interpreting it there. Because even looking at the demeanor, this is something which is just like, who the hell is he to say all these things?
I don't think
you know? So I think in a way, let us agree to move forward. Let us agree to say, this is the problem, let us resolve it in a bipartisan way.
Correct.
Okay?
And that is more important. Can I add?
Yes.
That I agree with you that the grandstanding will not help us.
Precisely.
We need to move. I know that many of us politicians have said things that are not, when you look at them critically, that we should have stepped back a little bit. And I want to, for progress of this debate, that even as you criticize from our side, I would also urge you, Raphael, that you should also cancel your side, and more particularly the president. You know, when it calls a whole Chief Justice Mukora and calls the whole bench of Wakora, I mean, and holding you in high esteem or putting you in high pedestal should not surprise you. You are the government in power. You have the power. The instruments of power is with you. It is world over. Anybody with instruments of power is supposed to exercise extra caution more than anybody else, because you can even take a country to war. The president is not, presidency is a position that one should not joke with. Raila Odinga is not the president today. We need to differentiate these two. Raila wants to be president. Uhuru is the president. So if He says we are going to deal with you.
But he's not
People read it
excused.
differently.
Say that again?
He is not. He has no excuse because he's not the president.
No, no, no.
He
I've
can
not
say
said
whatever he
anybody
wants.
should have excuse.
What
By
do
the
you
way,
mean?
Are you justifying what President Kenyatta
by
said?
the way,
One thing I want to say.
by the way, if you took your time to remember what Raila said in 2013, you could see a statesman talking after the Supreme Court verdict.
Made its
Just
decision.
get that script.
But at Joho's inauguration, Honorable
He was
Mbadi,
hurting, but he was very civil. Now take that to what Uhuru said, the President Uhuru said at State House, the day of the judgment, what he said at Bama, and what he said the following day when he met the elected leaders.
if we're talking about what people
Terrible.
said, Honorable Mbadi, at Joho's inauguration, Raila Odinga
Yes.
said some 7 people in the Supreme Court should not decide for the whole country, which is similar language to what President Kenyatta said.
Yes, he borrowed from
The-
him.
Raila
it's
Odinga
all
also
the
did say, when he
president
announced he was going to the Supreme Court, that they were giving a chance for the Supreme Court to redeem themselves.
Yes.
So both sides have been very critical of the
And
Supreme
I've
Court.
just said that a lot of times politicians have spoken in
No,
a way.
I'll take it. I'll take it as
You asked me a
it's
question.
very flattering.
Can I just answer him and then I finish?
Yeah.
Then you can pick it from there. I have said Raila is not an angel. There are
The same
mistakes
thing.
he has made.
Uhuru is not an
There are
angel.
mistakes he has made. But there is extreme. When Raila talks about, if Uhuru just left it that 4 people cannot determine, we would have appreciated. But when you go to the extent of calling people Mukora, he says, we will fix it. And look at his, you saw his body language. In fact, some of us were wondering what has happened to him. Maybe we know, but we don't want to talk about it. But you see, we know what probably happened, but we don't want to talk about it.
Sabina.
I take it this way.
Yeah,
I take it this
that
way.
was too
I
extreme
take it this
for a
way.
president.
And I think
I think,
it's good to be, to be honest with you. I take it this way, that President Uhuru is held to higher standards. That is flattering.
Sabina.
That's flattering, and I take it as flattering. Thank you.
It's very interesting when he says.
No, it's okay. I think it's flattering.
Yeah.
No. But
It's
I think,
okay. But
should be
I will
higher.
say
Yeah,
something.
I agree.
I'll
I
say
agree.
something.
Yes.
It's about the same thing as you said. Uhuru is not an angel. He's also a human being. And 2013, Raila Odinga lost. 2017, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was denied.
no, he
No,
lost.
who
Just
told you? That is
agree
your
and say he
He
opinion.
was only diplomatic.
No, that
was
is your
still a
opinion.
gentleman.
He's told.
Hang on,
And-
but let her finish her point. Let her
Why
finish her
can't I
point.
finish? And so the big question we're asking ourselves from the Jubilee side, if then the judiciary were told it was your last time to redeem yourself, and they made this kind of a decision, then IEBC have been told again it is your last time to redeem yourself. So what are we anticipating?
Hold on.
Are
Have
they
you forgotten?
playing
No, let me ask you a
somebody's
question.
music?
No.
Are they
Let her
playing-
finish. Let her
But
finish.
I want to ask a
And I
question
finish.
regarding.
Let me finish
Let's
first.
have the consultation.
So, and that's why I'm asking you, is this justice denied? And you know, for Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, this was justice denied. And so, when we talk about how he reacted, on how he spoke, the first thing we forget is that he said, I have not agreed with the judgment, but I respect.
Yeah, I think talking from Jubilee side, I want to assure you one thing: we have moved on.
Have you?
All right? Yes, we have moved on.
don't
We are
see it.
preparing right now for the next
That's why we
elections
are
on the
ready for
17th.
17th.
All right? And we are starting our campaigns immediately to take our case to the Kenyan people.
Okay. Let me just.
All I like to be able
Ralph,
to, let me
I
just
need to
finish.
ask you a question about your campaign.
You wanted to ask Sabina a question.
And
You have a question
I
for.
wanna ask, no, this one is
No,
very
can I
interesting.
finish?
Yeah,
Let-
finish.
yes.
Can I finish?
Then I
Can
wanna
I
ask you
finish?
about that.
Can I finish? And I think for me, the biggest achievement of this debate is that I have the chairman of ODM here, and he has been very charitable to us in his comments. He's been extremely, polite and civil about it. And we've all agreed that boycott is not on the table. That consultation is perfect. We should consult. I think I agree with that, and I respect the fact that we don't have a monopoly of ideas. This country belongs to all of us, and does not mean that ODM cannot have a better idea than what we have. All right, but I think it's also very charitable of you to agree that we all should step back and stop this grandstanding. All right,
On both sides.
On both sides, so that we give Kenyans a chance to vote again, and we establish who has got more votes.
Okay.
So that he can be declared president.
Senator.
That's
And
fine.
I think for me, That's where we should be.
And I'm
Great,
actually
Senator.
very happy that you're saying that you guys are ready to start your campaign. And as the Secretary General of the party, I just want you to assure Kenyans that this time around, you will not use state resources to do your campaign. You will not litter our streets or our town with Jubilee paraphernalia or materials which is paid for by public. Yes, by public money. If you can assure me that, I'll shake your hand. Okay? Because in the last election, you cannot deny this. These are facts. You used public resources. This time around, ask Uhuru Kenyatta not to fly with a military helicopter. Let him hire one. Let us level the playing field. Because no. I just want us to be, because you say you care about the 45 million Kenyans. Don't forget that there are so many people, okay, who are jobless now because of few. The gap between the rich and the poor is so wide. So if you can assure Kenyans that you will not spend public resources to campaign, I'll shake your hand and I'll tell, let's meet.
Okay.
Let's level the playing field.
Can you allow me to finish?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you allow me to finish? We are not spending public resources in this campaign. That's number one. But number two, there's something called an incumbency, and it cuts both ways. President Uhuru Kenyatta is still the president of this country, and I've been in the United States during their campaign.
This is Kenya.
No.
This is
Let me finish. If you allow
Let
me
him finish.
let me
Yes.
finish. All right. Air Force One, which is a military aircraft, is the Air Force One for the president, whether he's a candidate or not. He enjoys all the security apparatus and protocols that the president must have. And let me tell you, it cuts both ways. To be a candidate and you're the president, you are taking all the flack for all the things that you promised you'll do and did not do. And the opposition goes to town, fighting you, saying you didn't do this, you promised this, you never did that, you promised that, you never do that. You can't eat your cake and have it. You cannot be in the opposition and take all the advantages of being in opposition and refuse the president even to have his security detail.
No, we're not saying
When Air Force One is used for the campaign, like President Obama using Air Force One for the Clinton campaign, the Democratic National Committee has to refund the government. So when resources are used for campaign purposes, then the campaign needs to refund the people of the country.
But when he was campaigning as president, you see, when he goes to campaign for somebody else, that's different from when he was campaigning and he is the president.
So you're saying that besides the security and all of that transport, that the Jubilee government and Uhuru Kenyatta have not used state resources to campaign?
Can I assure them?
What about the government what about the GOK delivers ads that were seen as Jubilee campaign material?
That was, in fact, again, this is, you can't eat your cake and have it. There is a requirement in the Constitution that the government and the presidency have to give an account of what they have done.
The Elections Act specifically bars the sitting government from advertising its achievements during the campaign season.
No, that is, the jury is still out on that. There's a contradiction.
No, the Elections Act is...
No, it's a contradiction of the law.
No, but why do it
The only thing I want to assure this
quiet
team from NASA
is
that the amount of money or any resources that is going to be used during campaign, it's actually not government, but the Jubilee supporters. Today I had meetings even at home. They're even asking for, these people already have a pay bill number. The Mwananchi, the Wanjiku who is there in Murang'a County is even willing to contribute towards re-election of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So we don't have to, we are not using government resources, and I want to assure them we have enough people who are supporting us, ourselves, you are supporting our campaigns, and it is rather sad when somebody says we are littering when we're having the campaign materials. I think we had had your share, we have seen your materials, you've seen your posters, and nobody has complained. If I have more supporters, people who can be able to assist me. So please, kindly, don't come and say here we are littering.
I think, how can you say that by us having our posters we are littering? I think you should be honest enough on your dilemma. You did not even agree on the colors. Because, in fact,
don't trivialize. This is very important.
You could, as NASA, I mean, who is your candidate? Your candidate is the ODM.
It's not a matter, it's a coalition.
No,
it's a choice.
No NASA.
We chose to respect.
Which are the colors?
No, listen.
Which are the colors that
it's not about the colors. You're asking who is your candidate. It's ODM. We chose to respect parties, not to swallow them and to dictate to them.
By the way,
okay.
By the way, Honorable Tuju is forgetting that in 2013, Uhuru ran as TNA. Despite
the URP.
Jubilee and
Deputy President William Ruto then belonged to URP.
So it's the same arrangement.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have affected.
No, you did. But look, today in my office,
anyway,
at the Jubilee office, I had defectors from Wiper. All right, complaining about. I think maybe you guys got the news as well.
We get defectors from Jubilee.
Munya defended from Jubilee to NASA.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. But he's not part of our team.
No, come on.
We have the as a parliament. Who are in parliament? Actually, tomorrow we are going with them to Meru.
Yeah, but those are also individuals.
Munya defected alone.
Anyway, let's not talk about who defected.
There's so many defections.
The defections are there.
People who are looking for jobs and all that
stuff. Alone. There's Munya who is a loser, who has lost.
No.
And he's bruised.
And so Munya is a loser, but when Angati comes with the former governor of Vega, what is his name? Akaranga.
Yes.
To you, that is a big catch. As when it is Munya is a loser, yet Munya even got more votes compared to what Akaranga got. Actually, Akaranga was number 3. He was defeated by ODM candidate, ANC candidate. He got the miserable votes. But you see,
granted, that's politics.
There are also people with Wafuasi, they have their supporters. So we can't really dismiss them. Political outfit requires people coming in, not going out. So I don't think it adds any value for us to lose anybody. It doesn't add any value for us to lose anybody. And I think you should also be scared when you're losing anybody. The point is, Munya is a human being.
No, let's not discuss.
I think we don't want to discuss.
Let's not discuss Munya here.
In conclusion, Honorable Mbadi.
In conclusion, I want to say that I think we need to understand ourselves as a country. Let us not just fight every proposal that comes on the table. As NASA, we spoke very clearly in response to the ruling of the Supreme Court, and we said this is not an ordinary election. This election is a consequence of a bungled election in terms of management and in terms of reporting and declaration, and a lot of things went wrong. To the extent, if you saw the IEBC lawyers in court, in fact, they looked frustrated, so to speak. And if you saw Muite, I think I really sympathize with Muite and his colleagues. So IEBC did not do a good job.
8th of August, that Jubilee government and President Uhuru Kenyatta won, and they'll only confirm that by going back and casting their vote. So it is important for every Kenyan to go and cast their vote. Secondly, I think we have learned a lot. Our opponents, I hope they have learned on how to handle laws. I want to really commend the Jubilee supporters on how they have handled it. I also want to ask Kenyans not to spread fear. Any propaganda that is meant to divide this nation is uncalled for, whether it's coming from Jubilee or from NASA. I think Kenya is bigger than either Jubilee or NASA. We all belong to this nation. And finally, because I know a lot of people are wondering what will happen, I hope this circus will end, and after this we'll not go back to court. So I hope, and I want to tell Kenyans, this battle is not ours, the battle belongs to God. So finally, as a believer, pray for your nation. Pray for the leaders, that God will give us wisdom so that we do not divide this country. And finally, pray for the heart of our President Uhuru Kenyatta. He's human. He was affected by the decision.
Thank you.
Pray for him.
We'll pray for him.
Thank you.
That's very good.
That's a great place to end. So who's winning on 17th October?
NASA.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for coming in, Honorable Sabina Shege, Raphael, did you agree on 17th October? Honorable John Badi. Thank you so much for watching SIDEBAR. We're going to be back next week, 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. right here on NTV. And these were friends, by the way. When we take the break, they all smile and laugh at each other. And so it's always a good sign for people to shake hands, so that your supporters also know that you're not enemies. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.